Imagine living in a world where the incredible invention of the internet was being misused in order to give children away to complete strangers. Unfortunately, we don't have to imagine a world like this, because it is the world we are living in today. Adoptive parents are resorting to selling or giving away their children via the internet to people they have never even met before. Do you want to live in a society where this type of behavior is left unchecked? Before I chose this topic for my speech, I was completely unaware that this was even occurring. Since my disturbing discovery, I have done extensive research on this subject in order to find a solution. There are currently no uniform regulations for private rehoming of children. So as a society, it is our job to not only strive for stronger legislation on this issue, but also to raise awareness of the issue and ensure that people understand it is not acceptable behavior. In this speech, I will be telling you about the problem of private child rehoming and how it has become so widespread in America. I will also be telling you about some possible solutions that I strongly believe our society should be advocating. So first, I'm going to cover some of the details of the problem itself. So children are being sold and given away over the internet by their adoptive parents for various reasons. Adoptive parents are using websites such as Yahoo and Facebook in order to advertise their unwanted children. It seems that many parents are unaware that this is inappropriate behavior, which is something that we need to address as a society. Government officials are aware of this issue, but are currently determining ways to deal with it. Because of the lack of uniform regulations, many children are at a high risk of being taken into abusive households. While the severity of this issue is unclear, it can be estimated that a child is given away to strangers an average of once a week, according to Marianne Levine in her article published last July in the Los Angeles Times. The American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry states that approximately 120,000 children are adopted each year in the United States. It is uncertain how many of these children are still living in the same homes, but it is scary to know that any of these children could be given away over the internet at any time. Now that you are aware of this issue, I will move on to tell you about its main causes. The main cause of private child rehoming is that the parents no longer believe that they are capable of caring for the child. Privately rehoming a child is a much simpler way to find the child a new home where it would be in a better situation. This process is cheaper and is much less time-consuming than a formal adoption. Also, adoption agencies require background checks, training, and home inspections that are not required by private rehoming. An article in the Daily Beast states that adoptive parents often choose to rehome under the radar because going back to court to relinquish parental rights can be a protracted legal process. Many adoptive parents instead choose the easy way out and decide to rehome their child privately, oftentimes because they receive little support from the adoption agency. According to Amy Walkner and Martha Rutter in an article published in 2014, as they age from childhood through adolescence, adoptees may face increased vulnerability while navigating identity development that is complicated by adoption status. If the parents don't know how to properly handle the child's emotional and behavioral problems, this can cause conflict among family members and lead the parents to find a new home privately. An article posted last year by the Donaldson Adoption Institute states that Americans have adopted approximately 243,000 children from other countries since the late 1990s. In many cases, international adoptions involve adoption agencies intentionally deceiving hopeful parents about the child's medical records. Robin Respo mentions in her article published last March during a Rutter's investigation, families have adopted needy boys and girls from orphanages overseas only to realize after returning to America that the children had behavioral and psychiatric problems that were not diagnosed or disclosed. So now that you know about this issue and its main causes, I will tell you about some solutions that I believe our society should support. There are many things that we can do to improve this issue and to ensure that children are being treated properly. Indiana should be pushing to pass the same laws that other states are now advocating. According to Leslie Gordon in her article published last December in the ABA Journal, in April, Wisconsin became the first state to make it illegal for anyone not licensed by the state to advertise a child older than age 1 for adoption or any other custody transfer, both in print and online. Violators face up to 9 months in jail and fines up to $10,000. Gordon also mentions that last summer, Louisiana also banned non-legal adoptions, with offenders facing penalties of $5,000 and up to 5 years in prison. Colorado, Florida, and Ohio are also considering similar laws. Laws should be made that require every single child rehoming situation to be supervised by an official from an adoption agency, and that background checks and home inspections be carried out every single time. The most important thing we can do to resolve this issue is to raise awareness so that everyone knows that it exists and they understand that private child rehoming is not an acceptable method for handling problems with children. We should start a petition in order to educate our community and gain support for the prevention of private child rehoming. Any of these solutions can help not only the life of a child, but the world as a whole. As a society, it is our job to not only push for the passage of stricter legislation with private child rehoming, but also to raise awareness of the issue and ensure that everyone understands that private child rehoming is not the solution. I want to live in a world where websites like Yahoo and Facebook are used to catch up with friends and keep up with the news, not to sell the precious life of a child. Thank you.